My name is Taylor, and I am 19. Here is my story. I was a senior in high school at the time. I had no idea I was pregnant until I was in labor at 39 weeks. Absolutely no clue. I had no symptoms. My baby had managed to make herself a home right on my spine, so I didn't get the expected pregnancy bump, and the placenta was right in front of her. That meant that every time she moved or kicked, I couldn't feel a thing. I did have an implanted birth control device, but I was the 1% who managed to get pregnant. Before this happened, I used to read those stories about girls getting pregnant and used to think about how it was total nonsense. How could someone not know? I was at home one night hanging out in my bedroom and talking to one of my friends on FaceTime. Suddenly, I was hit with severe back pain. I must have made the most awkward face because she said, "Taylor, are you okay?" I screamed in agony loud enough for my mother to hear. She came running up the stairs in a panic. This pain went on for several hours, so my mother took me to the emergency room at the hospital. The doctors examined me and suspected that I had appendicitis. I was given painkillers and they started planning to remove my appendix. I laid in my bed for a few more hours while they kept giving me drugs for the pain. Listening to music on my phone was helping keep me calm, but suddenly the battery died. I begged my mom to go back home and get my charger along with a few other things because I thought I would be there for a few days. Even though we lived really close, she reluctantly left, as there didn't seem to be anything exciting happening. Yet, there I was, all alone and unknowingly in labor. Shortly after my mother left, they decided to do an ultrasound for my appendix. I was so happy to leave the ER's bright lights, beeping machines, and the occasional screaming person that I didn't care where I was going. The lady took me into the room, sat me down on the table, and got started. Right after she started to do the ultrasound, she had this puzzled look on her face, like she just saw a ghost. She looked up at the screen, went over to a table across the room, looked at my paperwork, and then came back over. I must admit, I became a bit more nervous, but I thought, okay, she just confirmed that I need my appendix out. Yeah. Nope. She ran over to the phone, dialed a number, and said in her best hushed but urgent tone, "I need a doctor in here immediately. This girl is pregnant and is in labor right now." As you could probably imagine, I was in complete shock. I got up from the table I was laying on and told her that it was impossible. I kept pointing at the screen and said, "That's not me. There's no way I wouldn't know if I were pregnant, right?" Wrong. She sat me down and said 12 words that sent my world crashing down. "Would you like to know if it's a boy or a girl?" At that point, I broke down into tears. It was the first time I'd ever experienced true shock. Genuine shock. I fell to the floor trying to comprehend what had just happened. And I just couldn't. There was no way this was happening to me. They carried me to a room in the maternity ward, and I got off the bed and locked myself in the bathroom. I laid on the floor, sobbing. There was no way I could take care of a baby, I thought. I had no money, and I was planning on going to college in several months. Just a few days ago, my biggest concern was which dress I would pick out for prom. How did I get here? I didn't think it was fair that I had a little life inside my body that I couldn't care for. At that point in time, I thought being a mother would be impossible. They eventually got me out of the bathroom and led me to the operating room. They had to cut me open to deliver her, and she was born several hours later. It turned out that my mother returned with my sister somewhere between the time around my ultrasound and meltdown. Luckily, I wasn't there when they told my mother I was pregnant, but my poor sister had to go through that awkward moment too. I heard later that my mother burst into tears after the doctor left the room. My mother then called my dad to tell him the news, and my sister could actually hear him cursing on the phone across the room. In the end, my family was very supportive, and I'm super lucky to have them. I gave birth to a healthy 7.3-pound baby girl, and I fell in love with her the moment we first met. It took me a long time to get over the shock, but she is the best thing that's ever happened to me, and I'm so proud to be her mother. Her father is not in the picture, but that's a whole other story. Looking back now, I wouldn't change a thing. Want to send us your story and go down in Storymation Nation history? Please click the link in the description. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and smash that like button if you enjoyed this story.